Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Our webinar today, again, is what the high-performing channel partners do differently from the rest. Our speakers today include Robert Craven. He is the author of Grow Your Digital Agency and the founder of the Grow Your Digital Agency initiative. He works with key digital partner platforms and their resellers. He is also the author of the GYDA and the founder, again, of the GYDA initiative, working closely with over 150 agencies and resellers each year. Last year, he ran 4-month programs in 5 different countries, helping agencies and resellers to grow their digital presence. He is chair of 2 digital reseller agencies. His previous books include Digital Agency Strategy Workbook and Customer is King, with a foreword by Sir Richard Branson. Robert, why don't you say hello?
Hello everyone. Great to be here.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us today. Our second speaker is Kelly Benish. She's the VP of Strategic Partnerships for North America at Uberall. She started in finance and found her way to the interwebs by chance. Benish has always had a keen eye on networking and learning new business models. Her experience in sales, marketing, and business development specialization around media clients spans IYPs, publishers, newspapers, agencies, and vertical industries. She has a BA in English and Criminal Justice, graduating with honors from the University of North Carolina. She is a recognized national speaker, including engagements through BIA, Kelsey, Burrell, Local Media Association, Local Search Association, Association of Alternative News Weeklies, Association of Directory Publishers, SMX, and more. Kelly, why don't you take it away?
Hi there, everyone. How are you? Okay, and now Robert is going to get started on what do the high-performing channel partners do differently.
Great. Hello, it's really great to be here. It's Robert Craven here. I'm going to spend about the next 40 minutes talking about what do the high-performing channel partners do differently. As a result of listening and looking at the slides, you're going to get a better idea about how you can become a higher-performing channel partner and maybe what's required to make you happen. Why is this important to me? It's important to me because, as was mentioned before, I chair 2 channel partner agencies, and it's really important for us to be the winning team, to be at the top, to be at the front end. And neither of those agencies want to settle for mediocrity in terms of our culture, in terms of our values, and most importantly in terms of the performance, because it's that performance which enables us to go on and do even better things for our clients. So that's why it's important to me. And why is it important to you? Because I think it'll give you an indication of what you can do to do even better. So starting off, my introduction, this is a bit like a detective novel. You need to join the dots to figure out what the answer is. Each of you will get a different solution. But my introduction to this book, if it was a book, a detective novel, or you're like Sherlock Holmes, is my first question, which is how do small, medium-sized businesses spend their days? And the reason I asked that is because the majority of channel partner work is focused in the SMB sector, not into larger, some into medium. Anyhow, so if you look at what the typical SMB activities are, it's amazing to discover that only 36% of their time is actually spent practicing their craft, working in the shop, working as a consultant, working as a bicycle repair person. And something like 65% of their time, 64% according to the research, is actually on business functions. So what do we mean by business functions? That's things like getting more customers, it's tracking their money, it's managing their staff, it's maintaining their staff. This is all the stuff that a channel partner relationship can resolve for them. It's all the stuff that the digital stuff that if you were the channel partner, you could actually help them with. So basically their focus is, if you look at it another way, are simply around finance, marketing, and operations. And we'll come back to that more later on. So chapter 1, here we go, chapter 1. Chapter 1 is what's holding you back. So we took some 275 agencies and channel partners, 275 high-performing, really successful ones, and we took 275 run-of-the-mill ones. And we asked them all the same question, and that question was quite simply, what's holding you back? What's holding you back from running the agency, the channel partner that you really want to run? Now, the question or the answer comes back almost immediately, a huge, great big list. The list goes from and you'll see it on the slide. Customers, customer experience, customers, competitors, staff, freelancers, banks, governments. The list goes on and on and on. And what you see in common is that the list always starts with the word they. It's always about other people. It's about an external locus of control. And as we go on, the list gets even bigger when they start talking about technology and Trump and Putin and costs and clients going bust. My point is really simple. When you ask people what's holding you back, most people use what's called an external locus of control. The 275 really high performing, really excellent performers, they have a different answer to the mediocrity ones. The mediocrity, we're doing okay people always blame other people. They always cite the word they. Whereas the high performers talk about themselves. They recognize that the problem is themselves, and we find with the mediocrity ones that they talk about they talk about fear, the fear, and you'll start to see this, the fear of getting the right customers, the fear of charging the right prices, the fear of employing the right people, the fear of knowing what to do next, the fear of whether we're on the right platform, the fear just drives us bonkers until we realize actually the problem is me. It's as simple as that. The problem isn't about other people. The high performers get that the problem is me. And once you understand that it's about you and the decisions that you make and you taking control, you are in a much better place. There are this big list of SMB issues, but when you actually look at the SMB issues, they actually divide up pretty neatly into two different sectors. One set of the SMB issues are actually technology issues, and that's where obviously we're a channel partner can come in. They can help with technology and costs. They can help resolving late payment. They can understand that whole piece around technology. And then there's another set of issues which is really around marketing issues which are around the market and the customer and what goes on. So my point is simply very, very simple, which is who's to blame for your success or your failure? It's yourself. And by taking control of the future, by deciding who you're going to work with, both up the food chain in terms of platforms and down the food chain in terms of small businesses, that's your decision. You can impact your business incredibly by making clear decisions then. So now we go to chapter 2, which is really another background chapter entitled Everything Has Changed or Nothing Has Changed. Well, who am I talking about here? I've worked as a channel partner with a bank, with a franchise association, with a small business magazine, chambers of commerce, all sorts of people. And as I look around, my opinion is that everything's changed. Everything has changed, but nothing's changed. So the point for me is that customers now, they are more informed, they're more demanding, they're more impatient. They want to go, they want to do, they want to buy, they want to get more, they want to do more. They want to make stuff frictionless. That's the new world. But at the same time as wanting things to go faster, they want them to go slower. At the same time as wanting everything frictionless, they want a proper relationship. And I think the art that people miss out is technology with a human face, which is you and your relationship with your clients, where you're not faceless, you're not inhuman, you actually have the intimacy, you actually have the engagement, which enables them to feel they're talking to someone, so they don't feel like they're a number. Because especially small medium businesses and medium businesses, they feel like they've been left out, they feel like they've been forgotten about. But more of that later. So chapter 3 is how good is your business? Let's start off with your business. If I was to measure how good your business is, I would juggle with 3 balls. The first ball would be the finance ball, money, turnover, profit, cash. The second ball would be the marketing ball. And for me, marketing and sales is about how good are you at getting the customers you want to buy? How good are you at getting the customers you want to buy from you? So for me, marketing is not about having Flash version 15.3. For me, marketing is about once you know who it is you're trying to sell to, how good are you at getting them to buy from you? And then there'd be operations, which is doing the doing. So you could give yourself a score out of 10 for financial performance. You could give yourself a score out of 10 for your marketing performance, where 10's a high score, 0's a low score, and you could give yourself a score out of 10 for operations performance. In fact, if you just grab a piece of paper and a pen right now, why don't you do just that? A score out of 10 for your financial performance, where 10's a high score, 0's a low score. We're talking about performance, not about how pretty your accounts look. A score out of 10 for your marketing performance. We're talking about how good you are at getting the customers you want to buy from you, and a score out of 10 for operations. How good are you at doing the doing, getting the right people in front of your clients, getting the right campaign set up at the right time, delivering the results you promised in your marketing. We'll come back to that later as well. So then we go to how good is a small, medium-sized business, and I'm assuming here that most of your clients, if you're a channel partner, will be either a small or a medium-sized business, maybe one or two larger organizations. And if we were looking at those small, medium-sized businesses, because this little model which I'm showing you is called Finance Marketing Operations. I've worked with major banks using this all the way through to independent businesses. Again, we'd have those three boxes: finance, marketing, operations. So here we go. We've done this with 30,000 businesses. We've asked this question: how good is your business? Be interesting to see what your scores are compared with this. So for finance, those 30,000 businesses, the number they give as the score that they give for themselves is a 6. They think they're okay. Finance is okay, money's okay, could be better, could be worse. I'm now going to switch all the way over to operations. So those 30,000 odd businesses, on average, they give themselves, for operations, they give themselves a score of 8. So 6 for finance means, yeah, the money's okay, could be better, could be worse. We can just about pay all our medical fees and so on and so forth. The 8 for operations is like, my gosh, aren't I good at what I do? I go to all the events, I go to all the exhibitions. I'm so good at what I am, but I'm in public, so I'm not going to show up and give myself a 10. And then the question is around what score do they give themselves for marketing? So before I reveal that number, you might like to think, when you were at school and the careers teacher came along and the careers teacher said to you, hands up, those of you who want to be in marketing and sales when you grow up. Unfortunately, the answer to that is going to be virtually no one. And that's probably why most businesses score themselves roughly a 4 for marketing. In other words, it's okay, but it's not brilliant. Now, very, very briefly, I'm going to spend 30 seconds on that. The natural response to that, because one of the things about this model is your finance is normally an average of your marketing and operations scores. Your first response is often, well, if your marketing's the rubbish bit, Mr. Small Business, Mrs. Small Business, you need to sort out your marketing. Actually, before you sort out your marketing, I would sort out the finance, sort out a finance model. If you're only earning 5p, the small business, or channel partner, actually, if you're only earning 5 or 10%, 5 or 10 cents in the dollar, then let's sort out your financial model. So your financial model is not getting 5 or 10 cents in the dollar, but like 15 or 20 cents in the dollar. So my recommendation is, if you can, you put up your prices. If you can't put up your prices, you decrease your direct costs. If you can't decrease your direct costs, you fix your underperformers. You have underperforming customers. You have underperforming product. You have underperforming suppliers. You have underperforming staff. You try and fix those underperformers. If you can't fix them, you try and remove them. Brackets, if it's in the case of people, obviously you do that legally. So there you have it. You have 6, 4, 8. And once you've sorted out your financial model, then you go on to sort out your marketing, getting to market. The great thing about really good channel partners is they've got a blisteringly good offering to give to their customers. The great thing about really good channel partners is they're normally fairly fit financially, so they are making decent margins. So at the end of chapter 4, we now know how good your agency is. We now know how good the client is, and interestingly, they're similar. But the really interesting thing is those clients don't need help with the operations of how to run a shoe shop or how to be a plumber. What they need help with is marketing, which is where, like a knight on a white charger, where you come in and you can really, really help them. And it's understanding the problems of the customer, which is the beautiful thing that the really great channel partners do. So, new chapter, because I think it's important to understand what is 21st century marketing. How is it different? Now, I might be being a little controversial here, especially in the digital age. Everyone says 21st century marketing, we know what it's about. It's all about tactics. It's all about the clever stuff. It's all about Instagram. It's all about wiggling this and wiggling that and getting answers. It's all about programmatic and so on and so forth. Actually, I don't think it is all about tactics. I mean, it is about tactics because that's all we see. We just see the end product. But actually, people would argue to me, well, if it's not about tactics, Rob, then it's got to be about strategy, because that's a nice, deep-voiced word. And actually, I don't think it's about strategy. Sorry to disappoint you. This is taking you back to what's called marketing myopia, first written about in a Harvard Business Review, would you believe it, in 1964. So it's not about tactics, it's not about strategy, in my opinion. It is actually about the customer. It's all about the customer. In fact, when we actually look at what marketing is, and the reason I say everything and nothing has changed is because everything has changed. Obviously, the tactics are entirely different. How we work, the speed we work has changed, but nothing's changed because tactics, strategy, customer are the key. And the key of the customer piece is segmentation and differentiation. That has not changed. If you think you can blow people away with tactics, you can't. The fundamentals of marketing is differentiation. How are we different from the rest? Differentiation. With the platform that we're on, how are we different from the rest? Differentiation. We're faster, smarter, brighter, friendlier. How are we different from the rest? Why should people bother to buy from us when they can buy from the competition? That is the fundamental question. If you can't answer that question, you've got problems. So how do we differentiate ourselves? And how do we segment? How do we chop up the market? All customers are not equal. So which customers are the ones which we're going to go for? Understanding who the customer is means we can differentiate and segment. Then we can create the strategy. Then we can put in place the right tactics. And the excellent channel partner agencies get that they've got to go right back to basics. Then they need to choose the platform and the tactics in order to be able to deliver for their clients. So that's where we are on Marketing 101. New chapter, chapter 6. There are two elephants in the room. The first elephant is simple, and that is, why can't you sell more? Why can't you sell more stuff? And I would argue that the reason you can't sell more stuff, just imagine being a customer for a moment. The trouble with being a customer is that you and your competitors employ similar people with similar software and similar hardware and similar price points and similar looking websites and similar proposals and similar offers. It all looks so bland and beige and dull and predictable for the customer. It just doesn't look in any way different. Everyone looks the same, and that's because of the sheer clutter and commoditization. It's because there's too much competition. There's too much customer consciousness, which is the very reason why, if you want to be an exceptional channel partner, what you need to do is differentiate yourself. And I would argue differentiate and segment yourself. And the really great channel partners are really good at understanding how they're different from the rest, and more importantly, who they're selling to, because I can't emphasize enough, all customers are not equal. And whether you focus on professional services or American or New York State or medical, you will find that you get on better with some people than others. Now, the other elephant in the room, which I think is a more serious elephant in the room, is the point of view, the viewpoint of the customer, which I may upset some people. I apologize if I do, but SMBs, and I see my business as an SMB one. The number one shout is, do not call me a small, medium-sized business. That is what big businesses refer to SMBs as. That's what I don't use the phrase SMB. I use the phrase independent business or growing business, because I think SMB is almost an insult to who I am, because I'm not. I run a consultancy, or I run a sports shop. I'm not an SMB. That's a phrase created by the banks and the government to describe what people are me like. So you end up hearing people say, literally, if you go to a small business meeting or independent business meeting, you'll literally hear them saying, "I'm not an SMB, you patronising star star star. Please do not call me that." Because, in my opinion, and in the opinion of most people who run a small business, a frog is not the same as a crocodile. A crocodile may be an amphibian, but a frog is in no way similar. Small businesses are not small versions of big businesses. They're entirely different. They're independently owned. They're independently driven. They're driven by a independent family value set. They're locally driven, even up to 2, 3, 4, 5,000, 2,000, 5,000 people. They are entirely different from FTSE or Forbes top 1,000 businesses, and they're not prepared to be receiving some substandard product that the big businesses are trying to sell cheaply. That's why, if you're a great channel partner, you have offerings which cater for that need. SMBs will say things like, "I am not part of a homogenous mass. All marketers are liars." That's a really common phrase you'll hear them say. And big business is totally, hopelessly clueless about us independents. Other things you'll hear them say is, "Sell to me as an individual with individual needs." And the great one I heard in a bar the other night is, if people talked the way big business talks to small businesses, you'd punch them on the nose. It is just so patronizing. Or the other one, "I'm not a second-class citizen, you can dump your dumbed-down corporate offers on me." Oh, and a few more you hear while I'm losing my blood pressure. "Understand me, understand business, understand my business." And the really great channel partners, I'll just have to go through that one slightly more slowly. "Understand me, I'm a person with individual needs and wants." "Understand business, actually understand how business actually works and running a business actually works." "And understand my business." If you nail that one, people will buy from you. "I want swift action." We all know how often the large organizations are incapable of doing that. "And make it easy for me to buy from you." Now, the reason I've explained that that's what SMBs are thinking is that the great channel partners answer when they're selling into the small, medium business or into medium businesses or into the small end of corporate, they're able to respond to do that. So, moving on, chapter 7, what is the greatest threat? I think we need to understand what the greatest threat is. The greatest threat, everyone believes, because we're all so digital, is that the greatest threat is being out of touch with digital developments. I'm not actually sure that's the case. I'm not disputing that's not incredibly important. I think the greatest threat, there's two of them. One is being out of touch with digital developments for your client and for us. But I think the greatest threat is losing sight of the fundamental needs of customers and the underlying long-term drivers of their business. Let me just explain what I mean. If you don't get what your customer really needs, and we talked about that earlier on, if they're a small, medium business or a medium business or a small, large business, they want to be cared for, they want to be listened to, they're not just spending enough time doing the doing, they may not be digitally up to speed. So if you lose sight of the fundamental needs of the customers and you lose sight of the underlying long-term drivers of their business, you're not going to engage, you're not going to communicate with them. And if you're able to engage and you're able to communicate, then boom, it's fantastic. So I'd just like to talk about a book called Jumpstart Your Business Brain by Doug Hall. Doug was looking for the basics. He was looking for a physics of marketing. He took roughly 4,000 proposals and wondered if he could predict which one of those proposals and adverts would be successful. And he discovered if you do not offer a business benefit, a tangible, overt business benefit, in other words, people who work with us can see their profit grow by 30% within 6 months. Something like that. Overt business benefit. If you don't offer an overt business benefit, 13% likelihood of making a sale. If you offer an overt business benefit, the likelihood of making a sale goes up to 38%. That's 1 point. Great channel partners always offer an overt business benefit. Then the second line is a real reason to believe you can deliver. Real reason to believe you can deliver, that's normally testimonials, It's normally case studies, it's normally white papers. If you don't offer a real reason to believe that you can deliver, likelihood of making the sales 18%. But if you offer a real reason for people to believe that you can deliver, the likelihood of them making a sale goes up by 42%. I hope you're kind of picking up the theme. The theme is you need to offer your clients an over business benefit. That's a numbers-based piece. You need to demonstrate to your clients a real reason to believe. That's what the great channel partners do. And finally, third line, dramatic difference. If there is no dramatic difference between you and the competition, 15% likelihood of making a sale. If you can offer a dramatic difference, then the likelihood of making the sale goes up from 15% to 53%. So what do I mean by a dramatic difference? Money back guarantee, payment by results, the only people using this technology or platform, the first people in this county to be doing it, something which doesn't make you look like everyone else. Remember? Differentiation, segmentation, and so on and so forth. So put those three together. If you offer, and this is what the great channel partners do, and this is what I make agencies I've been working with do, you offer overt business benefit, numbers based. You offer a real reason to believe you can deliver, testimonials, case studies, white papers, and you demonstrate a dramatic difference why you're different from the rest, either in terms of your offer or in terms of the platform use that you have, and the legacy, not so much the legacy, but the ability of that platform to deliver. Then you're separating yourselves out. You're separated out. So now we're getting near the end. We're going to go to chapter 9, which is what is it that the high performers do differently? Kind of starts pushing together the dots, joining the dots, so we can understand what it is that they do differently. Because I think it's important. And as I said at the top, I chair 2 channel partner organizations, and they're both, in every sense, they're high performing, and that did not happen by accident. So I think we can wrap what the high performers do differently around a sort of a circle around the customer, with the customer right at the middle of it. Okay, so hang on one moment. Before we get there, let's just talk about the new normal. Be clear about what the new normal is. So the new normal is this. We alluded to it before. Customers talk. They talk far more than you can imagine. They talk to each other. They talk to other people. And the world is incredibly customer driven. So nowadays, the idea of the customer waiting for us to tell them what they can do and being impressed by us is gone. They know more about us than you like to think. They do the research, they do the due diligence. They're totally ahead of the game about us. They talk to each other, so you can't expect them not to. The customer experience is more important than it's ever been. The idea of engagement, of involvement, of feeling good, of knowing they can go elsewhere is in a totally different league from wherever it's been. And of course, there's accountability. The accountability isn't just in something like attribution, where there are numbers which people can measure. The accountability is in terms of them just asking for something and expecting it. So when you offer it, so that is the new normal. Okay, so when we talked about marketing 101, everything's changed, nothing's changed. This is what's changed, and the amount that people have changed. The example I always give feels like an odd example, but it'll make sense to you. Dominant major 4x4 manufacturer. I'm not going to say who they are, but they're a client of ours. 6 years ago, people would visit the showroom on average 5.1 times before they bought a car. 5.1 times on average they visit before they bought a car. A year ago, people visited the showroom on average 1.1 times before they bought the car. Why? Because in this digital age, you can go online and you can find out stuff. You find out so much stuff that the idea of when and how you make the purchase is no longer about the showroom. It's no longer about the product. It's all done online. And the same thing applies to us. Our digital reputation, who we choose to get into bed with, so to speak, who we partner with, is more important than it ever was. So the new normal is very different. It is moving much faster. People do behave in a different way. Our digital reputation, our legacy, our footprint is more important than ever. So what is it the high performers do differently? Circle, customers. Okay. Around that circle, we see several things which I think is important to identify. What the high performers do differently is this. Firstly, becoming channel partner enables us to constantly reevaluate the portfolio. Look at who we're selling to. All customers are not equal. So bearing in mind what our offering is, what the platform gives us to offer, how we differentiate ourselves, how are we going to talk to whom about what, and have we got the right product set, and can we change the product set? Great channel partners have the wonderful opportunity of being offered a product set that they can flex and move around. Maybe it's a product set they didn't have before, but they recognize that now they can reevaluate the portfolio. Secondly, the great channel partners have the opportunity, especially when they join a new platform, to consider what I call unserved and underserved white spaces. They can actually look at the market space and say, who is not being served properly by the market at the moment? Is that an opportunity for us? Which niches could we go into which have never been explored before, either because they were thought to be unprofitable or not very profitable, or because they were considered not to be sexy? Because with a really great platform backing, you're able to go into spaces you never thought you could go into before. And the great channel partners are really good at that. Thirdly, high performers are able to look and focus on the verticals and the micro verticals and the niches. For me, it's great to be in a niche. It's even better to be in a niche within a niche, because you can get really well known very, very quickly in a very, very small space. So whether that's some part of the manufacturing cycle, or whether that's some part of car manufacture, or whether that's some part of how people grow management consultancies, or whether it's sewing machines, it's amazing how quickly you can become the number one in that area. And the great high performers really specialize in looking at spaces that other people haven't gone into, that they can really exploit, especially when they have a great platform behind them. And although I've talked a lot about small, medium businesses, or rather, in my language, independent growing businesses where they're less than 20, 30 people, a lot of channel partners push themselves up the food chain so that they're not just hitting the smaller, but they're going more for the medium. So that might be, working in partnership with the government to go after, the Institute of Small Businesses, or the Institute of Motor Manufacturers, or the Institute of Motor Dealerships, so that you're able to come up and go not just at small but into the medium businesses. Not always possible, might not be what your preference is, but my observation is that many of the really good channel partners don't just concentrate on the mum and pop businesses, but they kind of look slightly up to slightly larger ones where there's more money. They're more likely to stay with you. They're more likely to be great businesses. So as we look at the right hand side of the slide, what we're saying is that the really great high performers are able to modernize, and they're able to productize their customer. They are able to help their customer to modernize, to come into the 21st century, and they're able to help them productize. So that's about engagement and communication and involvement. It's about investing time in invest, that's the word, communicate, that's the word, and engage with their clients. And as a result, as a goal, but as a result of all that, the client can profitize. They can profit from what's going on, and they can realize the benefit of that. That, to my mind, is what the high performers do differently. They get really, really close to the customer. What the high performers do, they get really, really close to the customer. And this model, what do they do differently? They focus on the customer and strategy and tactics. This goes both ways, okay? So just to be clear, the really great high-performing agencies, they understand what their customer wants, so they're able to create the strategy, so they're able to select and choose the tactics from their incredible toolkit, and they understand the full size of the toolkit. If you kind of flip that upside down, they would recognize, these channel partners, that they are a customer and that they are to be looked after. So how does that actually work in that channel partner relationship? What the really great channel partners are able to do is they're able to get deep into their customers and understand what the customers want and need, and they're able to communicate, they're able to invest in the relationships with customers so the customers feel good. But also they use that same skill set to work with the platform. They make a conscious decision not to be just another channel partner with their platform, but they make a conscious decision to get close to the platform, to work hard with the platform, to get not to exploit, but to get close to the platform so that they can be with the platform, working with the platform. It's a synergy thing, 1 + 1 equals more than 1. And they select their platform really carefully so that they have the engagement and the involvement. So therefore, they're working both down into their customers, but they're working up in terms of relationships with their platform. And I think that's what really separates them out: the ability to kind of go both ways, engaging, talking, sharing, working. And I think that's what makes them really, really special. So 2 points really I just like to conclude on. The one is a wonderful quote from Jerry Gregor, who was with Dell. He says a couple of years ago, the customer experience is the next competitive battleground. The customer experience is the next competitive battleground. I think that's absolutely spot on. We've salamied on price. We've salamied on technology. We've salamied, cut away competitively cheaper fiber. But the thing that is the open space for competing is on the customer experience. With a great tool set behind you, you have the capacity to create a fantastic customer experience. With the right people behind you, the right systems behind you, you have the capacity to do that. And likewise, the final quote I'd like to offer you is from Maya Angelou, and she says, "People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." And I think that the trick, the clever piece, is to find a way of really connecting with people, and that is what the great channel partners do. And that is where I'm going to finish, and I'm going to hand back to Kelly. Hello, Kelly.
Muted. Great. Thank you so much for passing this over to me, Robert. As he mentioned, my name is Kelly Benish, and I do work on strategic partnerships at Uberall. And we initially saw Robert speak at the Google Partnership Summit last summer, and then we invited him to come speak at our user conference in Berlin at the end of 2018. So I wanted to stick with his candor and also quote the late and great Maya Angelou in saying, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty." So as he mentioned, high performers are constantly evolving, they're growing, they're revisiting their actions to improve upon outcomes. And in my experience over the last decade of working primarily with channel partners of all shapes and sizes, it's really not a one size fits all model. Some of our partners are sales machines, and others need a little bit more hand holding, support, and training. So, the common denominator for what I've seen across the board with successful channel partners is definitely open lines of communication, knowledge of the solution they are selling, and also the ability to be transparent with their dedicated vendors and support teams. So I actually came over to Uberall by way of acquisition from the Dutch-based company NavAds, which was also a location data management platform. We were acquired in September of 2018. We then joined forces and melded together as one company to collectively support channel partners that are interested in new revenue streams, and also for those partners that were deciding to dip their toe in the proverbial waters on offering digital solutions. So this can be anything from a large platform partner that simply slots us into their offering as a baseline search engine optimization solution, all the way over to a traditional media partner that includes our listings management solution in their owned and operated or core product as a retention tool. Robert also mentioned one of the elephants in the room being differentiation. And we've certainly seen that through the creativeness of our partners in Evolution and how they are building more value for their clients across the board with solutions such as location data management, social media and reputation management, as well as store locator pages. So we've seen as consumers evolve and their search behavior changes, it's important to offer solutions that support this pivot. So topics such as contextual and voice search are making products and driving those decisions that cater to, for instance, Google My Business question and answer, a vital part in making the search experience more accurate and personal for the searcher. Management tools such as presence checks are becoming invaluable to starting new sales conversations. And these are showing, instead of telling clients, where their presence is flawed. And this is really becoming the new game changer in those sales conversations. So we've seen channel partners who couldn't even get their foot in the door a year ago are now engaging at the market level with a need to have solution for businesses. So it's pivoted from that want to have, be nice to have, to a need to have. And some other ways in which our resellers are changing the game is by offering digital reporting with their branding on it. So many times this bridges the gap from offline to online conversion. And this then offers these partners substantial reporting on success. It's really evidence of milestones such as calls, website clicks, directions being generated, and other tangible metrics that translate to revenue. So in conclusion, high-performing channel partners invest and communicate well with their trusted vendor to get the most out of the solution for their customers. So now we're going to actually open it up to the audience for questions and answers in the chat box on the right-hand side. So please just ask your questions there, and also feel free to email us after this webinar if you have any outstanding questions. So that being said, we actually have one question right here. How does location marketing fit in a top-tier channel partners marketing strategy?
Great. Good question. A little bit of an echo on me, I can hear. I think the thing about this is a modern, up-to-date technique that people are looking for, and they can either try and get hold of it from going through to the big platform that's delivering it, or they can buy it as part of something which is much bigger and much more complete. And I think that we're in a day. If it gets back to my point really about tactics, that we get bemused by tactics. We don't know what does work and what doesn't work. And I think from the end user's point of view, they want to understand how all the tactics fit together. They want to have someone who can demonstrate that to them, and they want to be given an offering that actually works for them. So my answer to that question really is it's far more about being able to work with a channel partner that can give you the right offerings for you. So it's back to this. Yeah, the tactics are great, and that particular tactic is fantastic, but how does it fit into the strategy, and how does it fit into what the customer wants? And the great channel partners understand the toolkit that they have, and they understand which bits of the toolkit to use, and they have access to that toolkit, incredibly at an effective one platform basis rather than have to buy from all over the place. So it's a real channel partner plus that one for me.
Great. You also talked about the relationship between the customer and agency. So what about the relationship between the agency and the main?
Brilliant question. The relation. So yes, the main conversation was really about how the channel partner relates to the customer. So I work specifically with. I chair two agencies, two channel partner agencies, and both agencies have made an unprecedented commitment to become as close to the mothership as they possibly can, to get as closest to the platform as we possibly can, and that has paid dividends. Now I know that everyone can't be in Uberall's top 5 agencies. I kind of get that, but clearly, if you make the effort, you go the extra mile to be close to your platform, the platform will respond. And in the instance of Uberall, which is a smaller and a more intimate and a more real people platform, you get the opportunity to get close. You got the opportunity to have stuff shared with you earlier. You have the opportunity to explore what's going on, and it's obvious from both sides. The platform's going to want to work with the people who are really mustard keen to work with them. So flip it around the other way. If you're a channel partner, you just rock up, sign up the contract, and then lean back. You can't expect it's just blinding obvious. You can't expect the platform to work as hard with you as if you're absolutely mustard keen and trying to make stuff happen. So yeah, get in there, sign up, put your Wellington boots on, if that translates, your big boots on, and get involved and get engaged and be available. That's what you need to do.
And Robert, can you give an example of a high performing channel partner and what they did specifically?
Yeah, without naming names, because I don't want to do that really. I mean, there's one that I'm thinking of, and we actually literally sat down and said, we actually want to be, this year we want to be there in their top 5 in our segment, in our size, and in 3 years' time we want to be their number 1 agency, the agency that they talk about. We made an absolutely conscious decision to be award winning. We made an absolutely conscious decision, so much so that the platform actually jokes that we spend more time at their offices than they do. But the benefit has been an incredibly close relationship where we're starting to see beta versions of products and services before they come out, and we're having the opportunity to test some products and services. Now, I'm not saying that happens all the time for everyone, and as I said before, not everyone can be in the top 5 and can be in the top 1. But our unbridled enthusiasm to work with the platform paid off, and our unbridled enthusiasm for the products and the services meant that we got to know the products and services better than other channel partners, and as a consequence of that, a kind of a virtuous cycle was set up where everyone benefited, and not least our clients, not least our staff. And the more we understood what the products and services were, the more we were happy to sell them on or promote them to our clients. The more the clients used them, the more benefit they had, the more they came back to us. So it's kind of like a flywheel, yeah, where we're excited by the products, so our people are excited by the products, so the customers get excited by the products, so they get great results, so they can pay more for more products because they're generating great revenues and great profits, so they come back to us. So you get a positive cycle, and that's just fantastic when that happens.
Great, thank you, Robert. And to that point, Uberall is very partner centric. We support our partners with the product, the service, really helping them in the sales cycle, provide them with marketing materials, a lot of co-marketing as well. So we really handhold them every step of the way to make sure that they really achieve that level of high performing channel partner. And we define the success early on and what it means to them. So we set milestones, and then we have regular meetings to really just track that achievement. So I don't see any additional questions. So Caroline, did you want to wrap up?
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Kelly and Robert. I really appreciate you both coming out today. And to everyone attending, there's emails below if you'd like to reach out to Robert or Kelly personally with any of your questions or even advice for channel partners and strategies moving forward for 2019. We do have a follow-up email coming out with the recording, the PDF of the slides, and a nice little piece of collateral for top 10 digital marketing strategies for 2019. So please be on the lookout for that in the next couple days. Our next webinar will be in March with our customer carriage services, and it's kind of talking about how do you establish trust through location marketing and really engage and know your customer, some things we talked about today. And that brings us to the end of our webinar. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today.